Welcome back, everybody. This week we're going to be making a slow cooker pecan pie. The crust is made entirely in a food processor and it's incredibly easy to whip up in like 10-15 minutes. The beauty of this crust is that it can be made in your food processor and it can hang out in your fridge, or you can even freeze it. Sometimes you can freeze these crusts up to 6 months, but of course if you are in a pinch and you want to make this crust really quickly, I recommend doing it the night before, because then the day of, when you assemble everything, it comes together really, really quickly. So to start making our crust, we're going to get our food processor out with the S plate and add 1.5 cups of all-purpose and whole wheat flour. Be comfortable using whichever combination or mixture you prefer. Once it's all in there, we'll be adding our other ingredients, a teaspoon of salt, in addition to 2 tablespoons of coconut manna and half a cup of almond butter. Combine in your blender until you notice that the fat is combining with the flour and little crumb sizes are appearing. If you're interested in my awesome Ninja, be sure to check the description where I've left a link for you to purchase your own. Add 2 bananas. I love to add bananas because I always have really ripe ones lying around, but you can also just use really ice cold water to make this crust combine and come together. You know it's ready when it starts to slap off the side of the blender. Take out your crust, and then at this stage you can just lightly knead it with your hand. Once you're ready, add it to some parchment paper, ideally not some scrappy leftover parchment paper like I used, some newer parchment paper, and put into the fridge. Custardy pies like pecan pie or pumpkin pie are actually great to make in the slow cooker because the consistent temperature of the device helps that filling cook but never curdle, because it never gets too hot. In this instance, like similar to my cheesecake recipes, you won't be using a water bath in the slow cooker, but because the slow cooker never gets incredibly hot nor boiling, the filling will cook really beautifully and evenly at the right temperature for the right amount of time. Pecan pie, typically when it's not vegan, is made with eggs, but here we will be using flax egg to combine all of our filling ingredients. Thanks to the slow cooker temperature, it will cook beautifully just as if it had eggs. Let me show you all now how to make the filling, which comes together in another 15 minutes. Everything for this filling can be made in one very large mixing bowl. I started with 3/4 cup of date paste, which is one of the lower glycemic sugars that you can purchase. I like to put mine in my pecan pie because it works beautifully and also has a slightly molasses flavor. We will be using 2 tablespoons of blackstrap molasses as well, a healthier sugar, and 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar or brown sugar. This is completely up to you. If you've never used date syrup, I will leave linked in the description below the date syrup that I like to purchase on Amazon if you're interested in getting your own. Next, I've actually had 8 medjool dates. These are actually root-top dates that my husband got in Dubai and I've had forever because I've had them in the freezer. I'm soaking in 3/4 cup of non-dairy milk because we will then pit them, and with a handheld blender we're gonna blend it and make almost like a date caramel sauce. This will help with caramelization of our filling and also adds extra sweetness that's plant-based and healthier. For our egg substitute, we're gonna be using a 1/4 cup of ground flaxseed and a teaspoon of salt for flavor. It's just so much nicer to have desserts with a little bit of salt. I think it offsets that sort of ultra sweetness, but you can omit it if you're watching your salt intake. You can also substitute for a potassium salt-free sodium substitute that I will leave linked in the description as well if you're watching your sodium intake. For our combining of the ingredients, like the congealing, what helps in addition to the flaxseed, I like to add 2 tablespoons of arrowroot powder or arrowroot starch. You can get this at Whole Foods, or you can use the link below in the description. It's really easy to purchase off of Amazon. I like to get it in bulk, especially if you like to experiment with gluten-free baking as well, or if you like to use some almond flour. Arrowroot powder is great because it helps everything kind of combine just a little bit better, especially if you're avoiding gluten. I also have a tablespoon of Ceylon cinnamon. You can add 2 teaspoons if you want, but I always feel like desserts really need extra spiced flavor, so I like to add a tablespoon's worth. Ceylon cinnamon is different from store-bought cinnamon. It's actually supposed to be healthier, so I highly recommend getting this one, also linked in the description below. And lastly, our star ingredient, 2.5 cups of chopped pecans. You can get these anywhere. I like to kind of roughly chop mine, but you can chop these to the small little bite-sized pieces that you prefer. So let's combine everything. For the assembly of our filling, it's really easy. You want to combine all of the ingredients listed on the screen, and they will also be left in the description for you all, in a medium to large mixing bowl and mix until thoroughly combined and homogeneous with a whisk. For our date caramel, it's super easy. Take those 8 medjool dates, make sure to de-pit them, and with a handheld mixer, you combine the milk and the dates until the dates are a really tiny little size, and it's more or less like a date paste. Add that to the rest of your ingredients, and once that's done, we'll add our superstar ingredient, the 2.5 cups of chopped pecans, to the mix. Give it a really nice whisk, and your filling is more or less complete. For the assembly of our pie, we're going to take that crust that we worked on in the first section of this video, flatten it out with a rolling pin, and because my parchment paper was a little old, it got a little stuck, so I had to then move it to a different piece of parchment paper, which worked actually nicely because sometimes if your parchment paper is too small and your slow cooker is too big, it's better to have a larger piece than a smaller piece because you want to add the parchment paper with the crust right into the slow cooker insert. With your hands, gently push the crust to the sides of your slow cooker insert and add your pecan pie filling to the insert. Add some fresh pecans on top if you'd like. I also like to add a little bit of cracked flaky salt. Bake on high for an hour and 30 minutes and then let it rest in the slow cooker uncovered for 15 minutes. You can also cook it for 2 hours. This depends on your slow cooker, but I find that 1 hour and a half is just as lucky as 2. Thank you so much for watching this video to its entirety. It means the world to me. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like, and comment. See you next time.